from heaven you came running, and there was mercy in your eyes. Well, hello there. Today I'm going to be playing the intro and verse / bridge to the song King of Kings in most keys. I'm picking the range of keys that I think worship leaders in most churches are going to be using. I'm going to go from the key of B all the way up to the key of G. Girl worship leaders are probably going to go from B to D, and then guy worship leaders somewhere between E and G. Also, just so you know, this is how I hear the song in my head, so it very well could be wrong. But if you're willing to take those chances, then you came to the right place. Also, I will not be playing these songs exactly the same in my left hand because of where the keys fall and just based upon what I think sounds best in that particular key. And as a courtesy to you, I have the times posted below in the description if you want to go straight to the key that you want to learn the song in. All right, let's jump in. So we're in the key of B. I'm going to start out playing the intro and verse at a regular speed, and then the next time around, I'll slow it down for you. In the darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven you came running, there was mercy in your eyes. All right, let's start on the intro and let's slow it down. In your left hand, you've got a B octave and you're just gonna hold it. All right, and then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note and you're gonna keep it there. So it's gonna be B, C sharp, D sharp, and E. Those will be right there. I know that sounds ugly right there. And then your thumb is going to be on the F sharp. So keep your fingers there and don't move them. And that's going to make that intro really easy. So we'll go slowly here. And then it repeats again. All right, let's start on the verse chords now. In your left hand, you're gonna hit a D sharp with your pinky. Make sure to hit it hard to give it that volume. And that's all you're gonna do there. You're not playing a chord, just the pinky. And then you're gonna go E chord. You're gonna go F sharp, 1-5, and then you're gonna hit a B octave. And then on your right hand, you're gonna go B and F sharp, which is actually an inverted chord of the 1-5 here. So, all right, so you'll start out B, F sharp, and you're gonna go F sharp, G sharp. You're gonna go F sharp, A sharp, and then back to F sharp, B. All right, so together both hands, that's gonna go. One thing to note is that downbeat or the 1 starts on the word darkness. So in the darkness, that's your first chord right there. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we are in the key of C, and I'm gonna play it one time through at regular speed, and then the next time I will slow it down. Darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light. All right, let's start out with the intro. We're going to start with the left hand. You're literally just going to play an octave of C. And then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a particular note. So the notes are going to be C, D, E, and F, and then G, and your thumb. And I want you to keep them there. So in your right hand, it's going to go. All right, all together. then it repeats. All right, let's move into the verse/bridge chords. In our left hand, the first note we're going to hit is the E, and it's just going to be our pinky. And I want you to hit that hard so it's got some volume. Then we'll move into the F chord, and then G chord, and then C octave. All right, and then in our right hand, we're going to hit a C and a G, which is really just an inversion of this 1/5 C chord. And we're going to go, and then, so we're just walking up there. So all together, slowly, this is going to go. One thing to note is to make sure that you know the downbeat or the first chord starts on the word darkness. So in the darkness we were waiting. So just keep that in mind. All right, we are in the key of C sharp. I'm going to play the intro and the verse for you at a regular speed. And then the next time around, we're going to slow it down. So here we go. Darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes. Okay, let's break down that intro. In your left hand, you're just going to have a C sharp octave. In your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note. So these notes are going to be C sharp, D sharp, F, and F sharp. And then your thumb's going to hit the G sharp. And I want you to keep those notes there. I know that sounds ugly, but hopefully it'll help you out. So those notes are going to be all right, and then both hands slowly All right, let's move on to the verse/bridge. In our left hand, the chords are going to be F. Just the pinky is going to hit that note harder so it brings more volume. And then we're going to move up to F sharp. Then we're going to move up to G sharp. And then a C sharp octave. All right, here in our right hand, we're going to have a C sharp and a G sharp, which is really just a 1/5 octave or 1/5 chord that is inverted down here. So the first chord that you're going to hit is going to go, and then we're going to walk up from here. And then, so all together, slowly, it goes like this. One thing to note is that your first chord is going to fall on the word darkness. So in the darkness. So just keep that in mind. All right, we are in the key of D. I'm going to play this intro and verse through for you at a regular speed, and then we will slow it down the next time around. Darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, heaven you came running, and there was mercy in your eyes. Okay, let's start with the intro. We're going to slow this down. In the left hand, we've got an octave of D, and it's not here, it's down here. It's low growling, so nice and epic sounding. And then in our right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note, and I want you to keep it there. So those notes are going to be D, E, F sharp, and A, and then your thumb is going to hit this A down here. And just keep your fingers on these notes while you play this. So let's hit that D octave. All right, let's dissect this verse/bridge. In your left hand, this pinky is going to hit F sharp, and then a G chord, and then an A chord, and then a D octave. All right, and in your right hand, you're going to hit a D and an A, which is really just an inversion of this D chord. And then we're going to go D, A. We're walking up. So all together, that's going to sound like this, slowly. One thing to note, as you start your first chord, that chord starts in the word darkness. That's going to be your downbeat, your 1. So in the darkness. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we are in the key of D sharp, which, if I've got to be honest, I hate playing in this key because I never do. So it is really going to stretch me right now. All right, I'm going to play this intro and verse for you at a regular speed, and then the next time around, I'm going to slow it down. So here we go. In the darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes. All right, let's break this intro down slowly. In your left hand, you've just got a D sharp octave, nice and low on the piano here. With your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note. Those notes are going to be D sharp, F, G, and G sharp, and then in your thumb, A sharp. And I want you to just keep them there. I want you to say to yourself, those fingers are assigned to those notes. So those notes played all together are going to be Okay, let's move on to the verse/bridge. In your left hand, the chords are going to be G. You're going to hit that hard with your pinky to make it sound like it's got a lot of volume. And then G sharp. And then A sharp. And then a D sharp octave. And then in your right hand, you're going to have a D sharp and an A sharp, which is really an inversion of that 1-5 chord, the D sharp chord. All right, and then you're gonna play, and you're just gonna walk up. All together, slowly, it's gonna look like this. One thing to note is to make sure to remember to start that first chord on the word darkness. That's going to be your downbeat, your 1. So, in the darkness. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we are in the key of E. I'm going to start out playing that intro and verse at a regular speed, and then the next time I'll slow it down for you. So here's what it sounds like. In the darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven you came running, there was mercy in your eyes. All right, let's break the intro down. In your left hand, you're just gonna have an E octave. Down low on the piano, sounds nice and full. And then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note, and I just want you to keep it there and say that's where you're gonna stay for this intro. So those notes are gonna be E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and then your thumb is gonna be B, right? All together? Doesn't that sound nice and pretty? All right, so slowly in your right hand, you're gonna go. And then left hand and right hand. All right, let's move on to the verse/bridge. In your left hand, you're going to start out with your pinky just hitting this G sharp. And I want you to hit it a little harder to give it more volume. And then you're going to have an A chord, and then a B, and then you're going to do an E octave. All right, and then in your right hand, you're gonna play this inverted chord. It's really just an E chord, and you move this B down to this B. And then we're gonna walk up. So we'll start out on this one, and then we'll go B and C sharp, B and D sharp, and then back to B and E. So slowly, all together, this is what that sounds like. One thing to note is when to start that first chord, make sure it's on the word darkness. That's going to be your downbeat or your 1 beat. So, in the darkness. So just keep that in mind. All right, we are in the key of F, and I'm going to play this intro and verse at a regular speed, and then I'm going to slow it down the next time around. From heaven you came running, there was mercy in your eyes. All right, let's break this intro down slowly. In your left hand, you're going to hit an octave of F. All right, and then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note, and you're going to keep that finger there for the intro. So those notes are going to be F, G, A, and A sharp, and then your thumb is going to be here on the C. So all together, isn't that nice and pretty? So slowly, that's going to be. All right, let's move into the verse slash bridge. In your left hand, those chords are going to be A. Just hit that with your pinky and make sure it's nice and full sounding. And then A sharp or B flat. And then C. And then F chord. And then in your right hand, you're going to play an F and a C, inverted, really, because the F chord normally is like that. You're going to just take that C and move it down to this C. So that'll be your first chord, and then you're going to walk up from there. You're going to go C and D, C and E, back to C and F. So slowly, all together, that's going to be like this. One last thing to note is to make sure to hit that first chord on the verse on the word darkness. That's going to be your downbeat, your 1. So, in the darkness we were waiting. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we are in the key of F sharp. I'm going to play this intro and verse one time through at a regular speed, and then the next time I'm going to slow it down. From heaven you came running, there was mercy in your eyes. All right, let's break this intro down. In your left hand, you're just going to do an octave of F sharp. And then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note, and you're just going to keep it there the entire intro. And so those notes are going to be F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and B, and then your thumb is going to be on the C sharp. All right, and slowly your right hand is going to sound like this. All right, let's move on to the verse slash bridge. In your left hand, those chords are going to be an A sharp, but just your pinky, and you're going to hit that harder to have some volume with it. And then a B chord, C sharp chord, and then you'll move down to this F sharp chord. So A sharp, B, C sharp, F sharp. And then in your right hand, you're going to play an F sharp and a C sharp, which is really just an inversion of a normal F sharp chord. You'll just take that C sharp and move it down to this C sharp. And then you're going to walk up from there. So that was your first chord, and you're going to go C sharp and D sharp, C sharp and F, C sharp and F sharp. So all together, slowly, this verse sounds like this. One thing to note is when you're supposed to hit that first chord on the verse, it's going to be on the word darkness, is going to be your downbeat or your 1. So that's going to sound like this. In the darkness. So just keep that in mind. All right, we are on the last key, the key of G. So I'm going to play this through one time at regular speed, and then the next time around, I'm going to slow it down for you. So here we go. right, so let's break this intro down. In your left hand, you're just going to play an octave of a G. And then in your right hand, I want you to assign a finger to a note, and you're going to keep those fingers there for the duration of the intro. So those notes are going to be G, A, B, C, and then your thumb's going to hit the D, and all together. Doesn't that sound pretty? Slowly, that's going to sound like this. All right, let's move on to the verse/bridge. In your left hand, those chords are going to be just a B note in your pinky, and you're going to hit that a little harder to have more volume. And then we're going to move up to a C chord, and then a D chord, and then a G octave. So one more time, that's B, C chord, D chord, G octave. In your right hand, you're going to play a G note and a D note, which is really just an inversion of a regular G chord. You just take that D and move it down to this D. And that'll be your first chord, and then you're just going to walk back up to it. You're going to go D and E, D and F sharp, and then D and G. So both hands, slowly, that looks and sounds like this. All right, and one more thing to note is when you're supposed to play that first chord on the verse, it's going to be on the word darkness. That's your downbeat, that's your 1. So it's going to sound like this. In the darkness. So just keep that in mind. Hey, one last thing. If this tutorial video helped you out, please do not subscribe. All right, cool. Thanks.